So I'm really interested in private equity. A lot of times, like, if you follow me on like any social media, you see that I talk about a lot of like publicly traded companies, stocks that anybody can buy into, stuff like that. But what I think the real opportunity really, lies in is private equity. Because with private equity, you can, 10, 20 times your actual like investment, or with stocks, you probably get about a 10% return per year if you actually keep up with the market. And, that's how that works, which is great. And it's a very realistic and proven path to, like, for someone my age to achieve $1 million by the time they retire, which is great. However, I want a lot more than just $1 million, especially by the time I'm like retirement age. And I think private equity brings an opportunity that investing in publicly traded companies really doesn't for the most part. Although, with that, obviously, private equity is insanely risky, like, insanely. And, I mean, there's definitely a lot of work that goes into it. And there's a lot of ways I'm trying to, like, navigate doing this that I want to talk about in video format. You know, kind of talking to myself here, just trying to figure out what the actual best strategy is. Because I really see two different ways of doing this. One, starting a company where I, raise money, not in equity in the company, but basically create a fund that anyone can put money into, and I take all that money, my money too, and I get a management fee for actually managing the money that people gave me, and I invest other people's money into private equity, and I grow the fund that way. That's one way of doing it, and that's a way that has proven to be successful. Like, there are so many venture capitalist funds in the world and rolling funds in the world that do exactly that. People put money into them, and people that manage the fund use that money to grow the fund, and they do grow it, and it does really well. That's one path that I see in front of me. The other is not using anybody else's money, just using my money. The issue with that plan is that I really don't have too much, so I couldn't actually buy, large parts of companies. Like, even right now, if I found a startup that I knew was going to like 200x, which would be absolutely insane, there's really not much I could actually do with that because I don't have the actual capital that, I would need to get like a large percent of it. Obviously, a 200x return, no matter what I put in there, I'm doing pretty well. But with something like that, you know, having more capital to actually get more of the business, like more of like a controlling thing, would be very ideal. But, ignoring that, I think it'd be cool to like, start a company, buy out private equity through just the money I have, like put just my money into the company, and then it may be a little slower, but slowly build that into, a fund that actually has, millions to billions of dollars. And I think that would be the most fun. It would just take, and I could be wrong, but I feel like it would take longer. I really don't want to wait, which sounds ridiculous because I'm putting in private equity, which is the most long term investment you can do. That's why people don't really realize if you buy into a startup and, 10 days from now you want to sell it, well, what are you going to do? Like, it's not like now if you buy a share of a publicly traded company, you can go to an exchange and just sell it. With a startup, it's different. There is no exchange. That's why it's private. Like, it's not a public company anybody can just like buy shares into. So with that in mind, you're kind of in a position where it's like, how do I actually, make money from my holdings? How you do that is eventually the private company could go public, which means you could trade, that way. Like, you can make money that way because it's, increased the valuation by so much time going public that when you sell it, you made a decent amount of money. The other way is through dividends. As the company makes profit, it gives them that profit to shareholders. You can make money that way. And lastly, the other way to do it is if that startup actually gets bought. So if you invest into a company, it gets bought, your shares get liquidated, and that's very important as well because there's another way you can actually get a large return on your investment. So like through all those ways, I mean that takes time to happen though. Like if you buy into a company, it doesn't go public overnight. It doesn't have the dividend payout that actually equals your investment. and it doesn't have the ability to be bought, by the next day. Like that just takes time. Like you have to be patient through doing this. It's a very long term thing. But that's something that I'm kind of like struggling with is I don't know which path to take. I don't know if I should go the way where I use other people's money and build, an actual like investment fund that way, or if I should register a company just with my money and a little bit slower, but build that into quite a sizable fund. I don't know the best system here. And I don't know, that's kind of what I want to talk about. Like, I want to get that a little out there. I was hoping that just by talking about it, I would know, and I still do not. So if you have any feedback, let me know in the comments what you think. But yeah, I'm very interested because I really don't know the answer here. I don't know what's the best option. And I don't know how to find out what's the best option either. But anyways, thank you for listening and subscribe.